Today we are going to discuss the Paul coat of arms. But before we get started, we wanted to let you know that we offer genealogy research service at our website. Please visit us at coadb.com. First coat of arms to discuss is blazoned, or a lion rampant, double-queued, ducally crowned, brandishing in the dexter paw, a falchion, all gules, crest, an elephant argent, on the back a castle gules, tied under the belly, on the point of his trunk, a falchion erect of the last. This was granted in 1758 to Robert Paul of St. Andrews and of Hatton Garden in London. Next we have Argent, a martlet, sable, a chief gules, crest, 2 arms in armour, placing a Saracen's head affrontée on a pheon for Paul of Scotland. Now the armature on this wasn't stated, or the grantee, but we have some possibilities, including William Paul, Chaplain to King George III, born 1754, Robert Paul, born 1788, manager of the Commercial Bank, Henry Paul, manager of the City Bank of Glasgow, Reverend John Paul, a minister of St. Cuthbert's, and Hamilton Paul, minister, writer, and poet. Geroni of 8, sable and argent, a chief oar, crest, a hand issuing from a cloud in fess, holding a tortue gules for Paul of Ireland. And just like the last slide, we weren't sure exactly who this one was granted to. We've listed several possibilities below, including Geoffrey Paul of Kildare, who died around the year 1690, Cadwallader Paul of Stapletown in County Carlow, died in 1701, Geoffrey Paul, Esquire of Ballyraggan in Kildare, William Paul, Esquire of Moy Hill in Carlow, Reverend Francis Paul, rector of St. Thomas, and William Paul, alderman of Waterford, who died around the year 1799. Azure, a sword erect, argent, pommel and hilt or, between 4 crosses patei ficci of the second. Crest, a cross patei ficci or, between 2 swords erect in satire, argent, pommels and hilts gold. This belonged to the Pauls of Paulville in County Carlow and of Ballyglan in Waterford, Ireland. The Paul Baronetcy of Paulville was a title created in the Baronetage of Ireland in 1794 for Sir Joshua Paul, who we see here. He was the son of Christmas Paul, a member of Parliament, who was the son of Geoffrey Paul, also a member of Parliament, who was the son of Joshua Paul of Rathmore, who died in 1689. And it looks like he descended from, or he was the son of Joshua Paul of Paulsworth in County Durham, England. And it was also borne by the Pauls of Silver Spring and Wexford. Geoffrey Paul of Silver Spring was a son of Geoffrey Paul, a member of Parliament, who died in 1730. Here we see one of the family estates of Rathmore. Argent, 2 bars, azure, a canton sable, crest, the trunk of a tree, regularly lying best ways, sprigged in leaf vert, a bird close argent, for the Paul family of Lambeth in County Surrey, England. George Paul of Lambeth died in 1635. He was a member of Parliament, and also Thomas Paul of Bridgenorth in Shropshire. They were sons of Richard Paul of Bridgenorth, who came from Norfolk. He was a bailiff and the son of John Paul. Also, John Paul, who died in 1726, a minor canon of Norwich, chaplain for St. Giles and St. Gregory, the son of John Paul, a baker of Norwich. Same coat of arms with crest, a garb vert banded argent for the Paul of Lambeth family. Alternate crests, the same individuals mentioned on the previous slide. It's likely that one member of the family bore this crest and another bore the aforementioned crest on the previous slide. Argent, a fess azure, 3 crosses crosslet or for Paul of King Stanley in County Gloucester, England. Reverend Nathaniel Paul, who died in 1679, was vicar of Frampton on Severn. He had sons Onesiphorus, Nathaniel, and Obadiah. Samuel Paul of Rodborough, a clothier, purchased the borough in 1753, and it was later acquired by Robert Snow Paul in the year 1820. There's a similar coat of arms with ermine spots in base and crest in ounce's head, erased gules. Another crest is a leopard's head, erased gules. For Paul of Rodborough and of Woodchester and Gloucester. The Paul Baronetcy of Rodborough was a title created in the baronetage of Great Britain in 1762 for the cloth merchant Sir Onesiphorus Paul, High Sheriff of the county, son of Nicholas Paul, also a cloth merchant, said to be of Woodchester, who was the son of Onesiphorus Paul, vicar of Warnborough in County Wiltshire, England, who died in the year 1692. Here we see the family estate of Rodborough Manor. This one has a crest, a leopard's head, erased per pale, or an azure on the neck, a crosslet counterchanged. For the Paul family of Highgrove in Gloucester, John Paul, Esquire of Highgrove House, was High Sheriff of Wiltshire, the son of Josiah Paul, born 1749, who was formerly surnamed Tippets. Through the will of his maternal uncle, he assumed the surname Paul. That uncle was John Paul of Tetbury in Highgrove, born 1707, a legal writer and author. Ermine, a chevron azure, surmounted by another, or thereon 3 hertz on a chief sable, as many crosslets of the field. Crest, a demi-griffin, regardant or, gorged with a collar gemal, and holding between the claws a crosslet azure. The wings adorsed of the last, seamy of crosslets also or. This was granted in 1878 to William Bond Paul Esquire of Werne or Weem, Wyche in County Somerset, and of High Ham in Somerset. He was a banker, the son of Thomas Paul, who was son of Thomas Paul, both of Langport in County Somerset, and it was also granted to the descendants of his uncle Charles Paul. Argent on a pile azure, a martlet of the field, on a chief ermine, a representation of the king's signet for Scotland, accompanied by 2 thistles slipped all proper, granted in 1906 to Margaret Morrison Paul, only surviving child of Sir George Morrison Paul, born 1839, deputy keeper of His or Her Majesty's signet, son of Reverend William Paul, who was born in 1804. Ermine on a fess azure, 3 crosslet argents, granted in 1660 to William Paul, royal chaplain, Dean of Lichfield, Bishop of Oxford, one of the 16 children of William Paul, a butcher of East Cheap in London. Ermine on a fess azure, 3 mullets or. Argent, a lion rampant, double queued gules crown door, crest an elephant and castle, for St. Paul of Snarford in County Lincolnshire. The St. Paul Baronetcy of Snarford was a title created in the baronetage of England in 1611 for Sir George St. Paul, High Sheriff of Lincolnshire and Member of Parliament for Grimsby. And here we see his effigy along with that of his wife, likely in a local church. Another similar coat of arms for St. Paul of Ewart Park. The St. Paul Baronetcy of Ewart Park was a title created in the United Kingdom in 1813 for Sir Horace St. Paul, a Member of Parliament for Bridport, the grandson of Samuel Paul of Coventry, who died in 1720. And he fought for Austria in the 7 Years' War, obtaining the rank of colonel, and was made a Count of the Holy Roman Empire in 1759. The second baronet, Charles Maximilian St. Paul, was a Member of Parliament and High Sheriff, and the title became extinct on his death in 1891. Here we see the family estate of Ewart Park. And next we have coat of arms of Sir James Balfour Paul, born 1846, Lord Lion King of Arms, the officer responsible for heraldry in Scotland. From 1890 until the end of 1926, he was the second son of Reverend John Paul of Edinburgh. Per pale, or in gules, 3 lions passant guardant and a border, all counterchanged, for Paul or Pole. And lastly, gules, 3 pales, ver, a label of 5 points azure. And if you enjoyed this video, please visit us at coadb.com, where we offer genealogy research service, high-resolution digital JPEGs, and heraldic merchandise such as t-shirts, posters, mugs, and canvas prints. Like and subscribe. Link in the description. Thank you very much.